everybody, welcome to today's video, and it's gonna be a fun one because it's an old school one. Teamcomp trivia, baby. So, a lot of you guys recently have been asking for help deciding when to take what boots, what to flex into what build, when you're going this, that, hee-haw. So today we're going to do the simplest and best way to teach you guys these things. We're going to go through 3 different team comps. I think any more than 3, I'm going to exhaust your brain and it's not going to be good teaching. We're going to go through 3 teams. You are Udyr, okay? Anybody that's new to League, if you don't know, Udyr can flex both AP, AD, tank, damage, assassin. He can build anything, so he is the perfect candidate for this type of trivia. 3 simple questions. Looking at Udyr on the team that you're on versus the team that he's against, would you flex either AP or AD? And then the second question is, looking at the enemy team, what type of boots are you going to build? And then the third question here will be your 3 core items. So you can build anything in the shop as Udyr. What will be your 3 core items? And obviously, I'll tell you kind of the core items for Udyr, so there'll be some obvious Udyr bias in here. And then as a bonus category, if you could tell me the best Keystone, so rune selection against this team, I'll tell you my opinion. We'll compare notes, and if you disagree with me, let me know in the comment section. Let's jump in. Again, we're going to have 3 of these totals. So pause the video here for the first 10 seconds. We're going to blab for 10 seconds. La-di-da-di-da-di-da. Pause the video, pause the video, pause the video. Come to your own conclusion. We're going to give you the answers in about 3, 2, 1. Let's get it. All right, for our first question here, if you answered attack damage, you would be correct. I think this is a very easy AD in a perfect world. If we've got an AP top laner, an AP mid laner, and an AP enchanter support, that means we only have 1 attack damage on the team. I mean, unless you are literally planning on just going Bloodletter's Curse, Abyssal Mask, and going all the Magic Team Shred items in the shop, I would say going attack damage will not only enable your team more, but allow you to do more damage. Boot selection here is actually very, very difficult. And before I give you my answer, I'm going to give you my rationale. All right. So looking at the enemy team, number 1, they've got a lot of slowing effects. So they've got Malzahar, who constantly slows you. When you load in against Shaco, if he takes Arcane Comment or Dark Harvest, almost 90% of the time, it's going to be AP Shaco, and it's the support. Xerath has a lot of slows on his W. He can also stun you with his E, which is a form of hard crowd control. And I think also Yasuo has a slowing effect, and he gets Blade of the Rune King, which can slow you. There's a lot of slows going on. So Swifties are a perfectly valid option this game, and it all depends on what your first 3 core items will be. I'm going to talk about my first 3 core items in a second, but factoring in that the enemy team has a lot of magic damage, 3 AP, 2 AD, they're primarily damaged, so they don't really have any tanks. I really think against these type of team comps, Merc Treads is just simply King Kong, and here's why. Merc Treads not only reduces the duration of slows, right? So you can build things like Dead Man's Plate, which gives you slow resistance. You can also, for your Keystone, take Phase Rush to get slow resistance. So that's an option you have to pick that tab up. But to reduce the duration of slows, you only have Wits End, Sterak's, and Merc Treads. Merc Treads will also reduce the effectiveness of the hard crowd control like Xerath Stun and Shaco boxes and stuff like that. The Malzahar ult will not be affected by Tenacity or anything, so you don't even have to worry about that. And in my opinion, I think this is a very easy Merc Treads, because if you get to upgrade it to the tier 3 Merc Treads this season with the Feats of Strength, you'll also get a really big magic shield to block these 3 champions' damage. I think Swifties or Mercs work really, really well here. Armored Boots, while they do seem good and a lot of their meaningful damage is Armored Boots, I think in general, if you're playing some sort of melee character like Udyr or anything like that, I think Merc Treads are just insane. First core item for me is going to be Stride Breaker, and here's why. This gives you a huge health pool, and against Shaco Clone, it will also, you can press the active and it'll slow both of them. All of their champions, including Yasuo and Nocturne, are very vulnerable if you get faster than them. So this item not only gives you 450 health, but a lot of attack damage, again, since we want to go AD, and this will give you sticking power for their entire team. And since they're squishy, if you stick on top of them, you can not only chase them, but run away from them if you use the Stride Breaker active. Frozen Heart would be my second pick, and here's why. They've got Yasuo and Nocturne, both of which are very auto-attack reliant. Shaco even is pretty auto-attack reliant with his clones. But more than anything, since you're going Stride Breaker first, you're going to have a 450 health pool. I think Frozen Heart makes perfect sense here. We will go Randuin's later in the game for the Yasuo crit. You may be thinking about that. And Xerath tends to get Shadow Flame. Randuin's also affects Shadow Flame crits if you don't know. But I think as a second item, since, you know, attack damage damage builds tend to love. Ability haste on Udyr, but also just in general, it's really good at stopping attack speed. I think this is an incredible second option. And personally, since I'm going to be going Merc Treads and I'm already going to have some higher, magic resist over here, I think I'm going to go Spirit Visage with the Sona on my team. Sona enhances your shields if you don't know. Udyr also has shields. So I think that Spirit Visage plus Merc Treads will give you enough magic resist. Without Merc Treads, Spirit Visage actually doesn't give a whole lot of MR, so they have a lot of magic damage. But I think, again, with all the shield power and going the Mercs with the SV, you'll be good to go there on the magic resist front. For our bonus category, for me, this is going to be a very, very easy phase rush game. I don't care what build you're playing. They have so many slowing effects like we talked about. If you combine phase rush with our Merc Treads friend here, Merc Treads will reduce the durations of slows. This will give you 75% slow resistance. Combine the two, and this team will have an extremely hard time dealing with you, especially if you combine it with the Stride Breaker proc. You are going to be faster than them, have slow resistance, and really the only thing you got to be worried about here, Harold, is a bonus thing. Like I said, I would probably get a QSS next, and then I would probably get like a Randuin's as my last item, and that would be my full build against this type of team. All right, team comp number 2. Again, you're the team on the left, you're Udyr. I'm going to give you guys the next 3 seconds to pause the video, and we'll give you the answers. 3, 2, 1. Let's get it. So if you look at our team, you'll notice that you can actually flex either way. You can go both AP and AD. We've got an Aurora top and a Gragas, so that's the AP. And then we have a Master Yi mid for some reason and a Tristana ADC. So we've got a pretty healthy balance. You're asking me, though, when we kind of look at the enemy team and considering which way we could go, I personally think going ability power in general, when you kind of zoom out, ability power is great at bursting people quickly or for long sustained combat where you can get a bunch of value out of usually things like shield strength and stuff like that. They not only have kind of a sustained combat top side with the Ivern and Scion and the Yuumi, so they can sustain forever, but if you do happen to get near their double ADC team comp, they've got an Aphelios and a Twitch. I happen to think that actually AP would probably be the best. Doesn't really matter, again, which build you go. I just happen to think with the long sustained combat that's going on, I think that AP will make a lot more sense than AD, and they've got a lot of crowd control to stop you from auto-attacking and a lot of kite. Unless you're somebody like Master Yi with literally an ult that makes you completely immune to slows, I don't know if going AD would make sense on Udyr this game. Boot selection here, you can kind of go many different ways. Slow resistance is really good on Swifties, but when I look at the enemy team, I think that the item Dead Man's Plate is required for a champ like Udyr into this team because I need a lot of chasing power and slow resistance. Since I'll be getting my slow resistance on my second item there, and since I happen to think that the enemy team is 3 attack damage with 2 supports, if you think about it, Scion, physical damage, Aphelios, physical damage, Twitch tends to go physical damage. He can go AP damage, but the Yuumi and the Ivern are just supports to physical damage characters. Me, all of their meaningful damage is physical, so I'm going to actually go plated steel caps, pick up the slow resistance from the Dead Man's Plate. In terms of hard crowd control, you can kind of skip Merc Treads this game because they don't have a lot of hard CC and stuns like that. You can kind of go a couple ways on core items as well against this team comp. I'll tell you right now, Lichbane Dead Man's would be really good against this team, but when I look at our team comp, we really need a tank. Usually whenever you see Gragas with Ignite and Electrocute, he's going AP Gragas. This is a hyper carry mid lane, a Tristana that wants to jump in, and an Aurora that's a backline mage. I think for that reason alone, we kind of already used this item a second ago, but Liandry's Torment will be your first item. Not only for the sustained combat, not only because it gives you a health pool, not only because it's super, super good on Udyr, but just because you need to be a frontline presence, and this item will allow you to build resistances. If you don't know, Liandry scales with their max health. So it's the perfect build one item and then go full tank item because you don't need to build any more damage items after this item. I already mentioned it, but for second item, very easy Dead Man's Plate game. Couple reasons. Number one, this item gives you slow resistance. Number two, this will give you more health to get outside of the burst range. Number three, it gives you a huge movement speed passive to catch people. And then finally, it's going to give you a lot of freaking armor for the same reason we're building armor boots. We're going to build Dead Man second. The armor is super good. Armor boots plus Dead Man will make it to where their ADCs are going to have an extremely hard time dealing with you. I think you've got two good options for your last third core item here. You could either go Jack Show, which is really good as a hybrid resist item. My personal favorite hybrid resist, though, against this type of team is actually going to be Unending Despair. Unending Despair gives you both magic resist, armor, cooldown and health, but it will give you a lot of healing for these long Yuumi, Ivern, Scion fights that will tend to break out. You'll be standing on top of Scion for at least 10 seconds every time you're fighting him because his health pool is massive. Because of that, I think the item Unending Despair will be an incredible third pickup. And like we mentioned, most of their damage on the enemy team is physical. We need a little bit of magic resist, not a lot, for Blade of the Ruined King on the Twitch, which does magic damage. Yuumi does a little bit of magic. Ivern does a little bit of magic. But once you get a base level of magic resist, just 25 to 30 or whatever, I don't think you need to build any more. And then you can go on and build items like Frozen Heart, Randuin, stuff like this in your 5th and 6th items. This is another game for your bonus category Keystone. You could go Phase Rush, and it's really, really good. But when I look at our team comp, we've got a Gragas that can hard engage. We've got a Tristana that can jump on them. Yi's going to want to run in. And my job, literally, like I talked about with kind of the team comp we've got selected here, is to be a tank. Conqueror is really good on tanks because not only does it give you damage, but it amplifies the shield strength of your W. Once you get Conqueror stacked, those bonus adaptive force resistances will apply to your Awakened W and your W once you start using it. Because we want the sustained combat for the same reason we're building Unending Despair. The same reason we also probably are going to go Approach Velocity as our secondary rune for sticking power. I think Conqueror's your best bet because once you get enough stats, you're just going to be standing on top of the Ivern and the Scion and literally just letting your team do a gazillion damage while you soak everything possible with your Conqueror stacked shields. Team comp number 3, let's put the Master Yi mid on the enemy team. And in case you're wondering, these were Master Lobby games. So yes, you even see Master Yi mid in this SHIT, all the way even in Masters, Grandmasters, Challenger lobbies. I'll give you the answer. Go ahead and pause and come to your own conclusions in 3, 2, 1. When I look at the enemy team comp, this is another great example of a team where you can go both physical, tank, AD, it doesn't really matter. But when I look at the Lilia, Master Yi, Tristana, Soraka, and Bessa, they're all kind of playing these chase, do damage, hyper carry champs. I think your job is primarily going to be killing whichever one is out of position first. And usually while AP burst is really, really good for that, happen to think with a Malzahar ult that can lock them down, a Vayne that can kind of peel herself so you can kind of leave her alone with a Yuumi. You don't need to sit on top of her. And you also have an Aatrox that wants to be enabled. I think you actually want to play a run-in and auto attack build. And also you want to have a lot of damage on your auto attacks to kill them immediately. And I think that AD Udyr here is just simply king. Boot selection for me, this one is painfully obvious. If you guys don't know, certain champions in the game like Master Yi, Draven, for instance, Rengar, literally almost 90% of their damage comes from just right-clicking you. Armored Steel Cap should be built almost against Master Yi as a standalone, but they also have a Tristana with Lethal Tempo who will be auto-attacking you a gazillion times, and they have an AD top laner. They have a 3 physical damage team comp, in addition to having 2 champions that are extremely weak to armor boots. For me, this is the most obvious plated Steel Caps game out there. Now, this is where my Udyr bias might come in. You've got a lot of really good options for attack damage. I think you could go lethality into this team, so you could get items like Edge of Night, you could get Stride Breaker into Serpent's Fang, wouldn't be terrible here, but I personally think that your best bet is going to be Spear of Shojin. Most bruisers in high elo have finally caught on that Spear of Shojin is ridiculously good for one-shotting champions like Master Yi and Mbessa because it gives you a 450 health pool while giving you a 12% damage amp on all your hard-hitting abilities. In addition, this thing gives you 25 ability haste, meaning when you are in those close 1v1 duels, your abilities are going to be coming up really important, and ability haste is critically important in 1v1s. As you get into team fight phase, you can have a little bit less ability haste, and it's alright, but in 1v1s, truly, the guy with the 1 second lower cooldown will win. A lot of these Master Yi and Mbessa duels are going to rely on you being able to A, one-shot them, B, be tanky enough to not get one-shot yourself, and C, have a huge damage amp for whatever ability you're using. Pretty similar to our first team comp. My second item here is 100% going to be Frozen Heart, kind of for the same reason we're building armor boots. The enemy team is extremely vulnerable if you cut off their attack speed, and this is an attack speed debuff, which will essentially cut down Yi and Tristana's damage by 20%. In addition, since you've got a Spear of Shojin, you've got a very high health pool and a lot of cooldown, and Frozen Heart will give you even more cooldown, so between Shojin and this, you're going to get 45 ability haste, you'll get an attack speed debuff, a ridiculous amount of armor, enough mana to stand in a lane and never run out of mana, stamina, so if you do end up chasing these things in lane, you'll be fine. And the only really stat that Frozen Heart doesn't give you is health, and you just built a 450 health item first. To me, this is an amazing second item here. This is my final third item. They've got so much healing on the enemy team. Master Yi W, Grasp of the Undying, Ambessa, Conqueror Lilia, Soraka with heal. To me, getting Armor Pin will be incredible for one-shotting people, but also getting the anti-heal Executioner's Calling builds into Mortal Reminder, if you don't know, that stops healing with the effect Grievous Wounds. So since we're going in on-hit upfront damage, anytime you're auto-attacking somebody, you're going to be one-shotting them, cutting off their attack speed, and cutting off their healing, making you a perfect one-shot machine for the enemy team here. You know, Phaedrus is getting some attention today because all three team comps you can play it into, but genuinely, I think that Phaedrus is just your best bet here because the enemy team has so much chase power with Lilia, Ambessa, Soraka, Master Yi. Master Yi is immune to your R slow, right? So you can't really peel him off you with your 0.75 second bear stun. It's not really good enough. Phase Rush gives you enough movement speed to not only run away from these champions if you're in a bad position, but you can also stick on top of them and one-shot them. And since you're going AD and you're auto-attacking, sticking power is extremely important. We're not going Stride Breaker, which is where you can get some of your sticking power, and I probably wouldn't even go Inspiration Tree second. I'd probably go something like, you know, Cheap Shot Treasure Hunter at low elo, so that is probably what I'd do here. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Teamcomp Trivia. We've done 3 of these. If you like this video, please let me know because I can easily produce this type of content. I just need to know whether or not this is helpful to you guys, and if it is helpful, it would be super, super nice to know because I can, again, hopefully keep making these and keep helping you guys. If it's not helpful, just let me know, and I can also stop making them, and that's also true too. Other than that, make sure to sub if you're new around here. My name's WillieP. We've been Challenger a lot, whatever. You know, I'm Masters, Grandmasters these days. Hope to see you on this stream and hope to see you in the next one. Bye.
Dang. Call me so I can make it juicy for ya.